This is Supreme with my last review of today. I was hoping to do more, but time doesn't permit. I have the 30th anniversary large wings TIE Fighter with me, and this is an attempt by Hasbro to make the TIE Fighter look more like it was in the movie, but I think they overshot. The last TIE Fighter I did had extremely dinky wings. They were too small. This one, the wings are simply gargantuan, as you see. They're huge. I think somewhere, if you really wanted an accurate TIE, would be somewhere in between the two. But I'll do a review on this. It's still a good fighter. It comes with a repack. Those of you who are familiar with the OTC line will know this guy. It's a repack of the last TIE Fighter pellet they actually sold separately. The OTC TIE Fighter pellet. And he is the best TIE Fighter pellet ever made. He does extremely well in any vehicles. He comes with an E11 blaster. I'll actually do a review on him separately later. Well, alright, I'll start with this thing. To start out with, the ball is basically the same size, or the cockpit, as it was in the 1977 TIE Fighter. In fact, when I got this home, the first one I got, I compared it to my 181st Interceptor, and when I popped both wings off, I noticed the wings were interchangeable. Just the painting on the two cockpits is different, but the wings are interchangeable on both. They're also interchangeable with the older TIE Fighter with smaller wings. In fact, if you wanted to, if you had, say, an older Power of the Force 2 TIE Interceptor, you wanted to update it, you could get one of these and just switch the wings. That would work. Yeah, this TIE Fighter, the wings are very detailed, though, I have to say that. And this was a ToysRUs exclusive. There's another version out that's a Target exclusive. I believe it's from the Rogue Squadron comic books, where Hobby actually, and a group of Rogue Squadron pilots steal a bunch of TIE Fighters, and they actually have a Rebel Alliance symbol painted on the wings. But these are both exclusive of different stores. This runs about $45 in Alaska. I would assume it's about 40 in the lower 48. If you're somewhere overseas, I'm not sure. But ToysRUs just had an amazing deal. They had a 40% off all Star Wars vehicles about a week ago. I couldn't resist getting another one of these. I got this for for $27. And considering that an OTC TIE Fighter pellet is now $14 online, that's the cheapest one I found on eBay. I thought this was a steal, so I had to get one. Much like the original, because the ball is the same, the wings pop out. And they've improved the hatch over the old OTC one, where it pops open. And I'll give you a look at the cockpit. The cockpit is pretty much identical to the last TIE Fighter I showed you. However, the hatch is slightly different. This hatch you have to latch it down and it pops up. This is where the laser cannons used to be on the old one. There was the button in back for the new one, but now these are more just for looks than anything. As I showed you on the old one, the diamond shape in back is very, very movie-like. I have to give them credit for this. It's also very movie-like coming out. You can see the cockpit of the TIE Fighter as well. They've done a great detailing job on this. One thing I was disappointed with when I first got it was, well, to me, although they made the wings bigger, the cockpit stayed the same. The cockpit looks ill-proportioned to the wings. It's like the cockpit is not the right size. Yeah, I had it on my dresser while I was looking at it, going to bed, and it just looks somewhat out of proportion to me. Let me see if I can get this thing on. Got it. Yeah, if they would have made the cockpit larger, maybe it would have been more accurate. Another thing I don't like about this is it kind of dwarfs some other vehicles. I've got the OTC X-Wing. I know they've made a larger X-Wing, the Dagobah X-Wing, but this is out of proportion of that. It's way out of proportion of the 30th anniversary Y-Wing. The Lambda Shuttle, that's nearly as big as the Lambda Shuttle, so it doesn't really work as an escort for that. The A-Wing, it dwarfs the A-Wing in size. It's about as big as my Dagger Squadron B-Wing I have. So I think they've overshot on the TIE Fighter. In fact, I'll get the other one out here. We can compare. I think they should have found a happy medium in between these two. Can you get them both? I think a happy medium would have worked in between these two. I think if you would have had somewhere in between the gargantuan wings of this one and the dinky wings of this one, it would have been pretty movie accurate. Still, for this one, they've lowered the price. There's still a glut of them at my ToysRUs. I don't know about yours, but you know, if you can get one when they have a good sale for under $30 and they have the very hard to find OTC TIE Fighter pilot, I would recommend getting this anyway. As I said, if you have the older Interceptor, you can update it. I actually might order an older Interceptor on eBay and update it. But yeah, they still did a good job. I'm going to give this an 8.25 overall because they made a strong effort here to update it, and I certainly think it beats the old one. Well, this isn't the old one. This is actually the new Legacy one, but it's built like the old design. Also, what annoys me is this cockpit is better. Even though this is the 30th anniversary, this one is better than the Legacy. They've raised the price of the Legacy and made a worse cockpit, as I said in my last review. So I would recommend getting this one over this one. But if you're an old school Star Wars fan, you know, you might want this just for retro's sake. I mean, it is a lot like the original, the same color, the same size wings, but and if you're setting up a display with older vehicles, I can't even set this up in the display with Vader's tire, the TIE Bomber. They just dwarf it in size. I mean, the TIE Bomber is actually it has a smaller cockpit than this. I'm gonna do a review on those TIEs later, but they did a much better job here. But I think they overdid it. But an 8.25, and I hope you had a good time looking at my TIE Fighters. I hope you enjoyed them. If you want to get this, I think Target still has the Rogue Squadron exclusive. ToysRUs may still have a glut of these where you are. If you can't find them there, look at Craigslist or eBay. I hope you had a good time looking at these, and may the Force be with you.